Thank you very much for inviting me, Chala. It's a great opportunity to give back to something that means so much, and to be a part of growth for small businesses, which is really a passion of mine. Um, on the side, instead of just growing mode, it's how can we all grow together. So niching, good question. Um, all right, let me introduce myself. My name is Colleen Bonniol, and I'm the CEO of Mode Studios. We are an experiential agency. We work in the pillars of brand activations, architectural installations, and online engagements. So it's a pretty vast areas, and we're like a boutique, so we do really super special things, blending technology and storytelling and brand environments all together into one space.
I told you were famous. Sorry, I cut you off. Go ahead.
I'm famous in a very small group of people, so it's like in my house, I'm the most famous person.
No, but I told him about the name. I name dropped. I said, like they work with famous people. So, tell us about how it's like.
Yes, so we're currently working with Disney, and we just opened Christina Aguilera's Las Vegas residency. We designed the production for that, and this last year we've also worked with Billy Joel and Blake Shelton and a few other music entertainers. So
nice.
Yeah, no, it works. I like to say that we're like this, and they're over here, and I'm over here.
So, you stay as far away from the thing.
Stay out of the fray.
Yes. That's amazing. So how did you come to hire me? So talk about where the business was before we met, and then what made you make this decision?
So obviously, being an experiential and event-based agency, the pandemic literally pulled the rug out from underneath us, and we were struggling. During the pandemic, we pivoted, like many other people, to online experiences, which sort of boosted us up for like 21, and then 22, we crashed harder than we did in 20. So we kind of crashed, went up, and then crashed again. And my husband and I work together, which is great on a lot of things, but being in the same job and the same business during the pandemic was not necessarily the most comfortable thing for us. And we had to hustle a lot. I think I met Chala through some Capital One classes and through WeBank experiences. I saw her speak a couple of times, and she talked about niching, and that was one of our biggest problems. Is we can do anything. Like, seriously, we can do anything, and we do really big anythings all the time, but we don't know how to express that to corporate members. And inside the WeBank environment, we were having a really hard time having discussions that meant anything. And Chala was really helpful in getting us to really understand where our value was, but also understanding the process of doing your research, building the right relationships, not just any relationship, but finding the people that are going to be able to hire you and building relationships with them, and how important that is. And the reason why that's important is because you then are able to have the conversations to find out what their pain points are. And Bob and I, we fought Chala tooth and nail on this one. We had 100 excuses why we would never be able to find out our clients' pain points. And I'm sure you can all relate to that. How the heck do you do that, right? But when we really started listening to her and paying attention to what she was saying, we got little nuggets of information that enabled us to build solutions for our clients that we could then talk about, that they were then like, oh, right, this is how we can hire you. This is what we can do for you, or this is what you can do for us. And that has enabled us to really get in the door, have the conversations. And in in 2023, we set up, we're currently negotiating contracts that we set up in 2023, but we got paid for all of that work while we're negotiating these contracts. And that
That's huge,
doubled
right?
our income over 2022, just negotiating the contracts that we're working on now.
That is so cool.
So,
So do you remember Bob told a story? So Bob came, so, you know, talk about Bob. He has hair that matches Colleen's glasses. Like these are colorful people. And so he came into our roundtable last year in, where were we? Nashville? I think we were in Nashville. And he told a story of how every year you would go to these, and you were even getting an award that year. So congratulations again. But he said, Chala told us you can only pick one industry and one problem to talk about. Do you remember that? Like, do you want to talk about that? Do you remember what
because
that was?
we built a capability statement around one problem and around one industry.
What was it?
And it was the auto industry.
Yeah.
So we had done a couple of projects inside the auto industry. We thought we could highlight that. We also saw that their problems were across the board, that everybody was having the same pain point, and how can we fix that?
Yeah.
And we got more, we got more response than we ever have at this conference. We had meetings that followed very shortly thereafter, and I signed an MSA this year with one of them to move forward with work.
Did they ask you right away? Did one of them ask you right away to sign an NDA or something like that?
Yeah, on the spot.
On the spot, right? Yeah. And do I remember correctly that he would sit down and say, car shows are dead or something like that?
The auto show, yes. So one of the things that we did within the auto industry was we designed booths for auto shows. So that was, and they had changed, the auto show now has been canceled. So it's literally dead. And they're trying to move the auto show experience to other conferences, but they weren't thinking about what they wanted out of the auto show and where they could get it besides other conferences. So a lot of them, especially the electric car options, all moved to CES, which is the Consumer Electronics Show that happens in Vegas every year. And we were able to put out some ideas and give some feedback that there are a lot of other opportunities out there besides that won't cost as much, that'll save them money, and that will give them a higher return that they do invest.
That's amazing. So he said that it was the first time that you guys, or you had like gone to very specific pick one focus and then go hit on that one focus pain. Like, is that kind of how you saw it?
Yes, it was super helpful for us, because I was I don't know how many of you are WeBank members, but I was the WeBank star last year, and there were other obligations at the conference associated with that. So I didn't have as much time on the floor as I had in the past, but the time that I had there was focused and was like, we didn't even walk the floor until the last day. We were literally just in the auto section. And it was so refreshing to not feel like I needed to absorb everything and I needed to be everywhere at once. So just being super focused and comfortable with where we were at, and not feeling like I didn't have any FOMO. I wasn't feeling like I was missing out on it, right?
Yeah.
I had a plan and we were sticking to it. So yes.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Because a lot of small businesses, and probably some people here, have a fear of missing out when they niche or if they focus.
Yes.
Right? I mean, you're laughing, but I mean, right? You used to. And so can you speak to that?
I'm laughing because we can do anything. So niching was really difficult for us. And again, it was, Charlie, you came to Seattle and met with us. We had a whole day with you. And that day was you literally just getting us to commit to niching and committing. And it took a full day of back and forth and really trying to figure out, well, how can we do that and where do we want to do it?
Yeah.
And you took us through a really great process to help us.
Right. So I remember, so we talked about a couple of numbers in terms of your ROI results. Do you remember what they were? Do you want to share?
I have them. Yes. So from 2022 to 2023, so we hired Chala in December of 2022. And year end of 2023, our income increased almost 100%. And our net income increased over 100%, which was great. But our gross profit was up almost 500%.
That's incredible.
But that cash flow, that income allowed us to build the structure that we have now that's going to allow us to go into 2024. So I don't anticipate that these numbers are going to dip.
No, they're going to grow. They're going to grow. That's amazing. So, can you speak to some of the difficulties that you faced while working on the niching and the structuring of your marketing strategy?
Yes, I think really coming up with the pain points was painful, really painful. It was difficult to really think. So what we had to do was put our minds into our clients' mindsets, right? We really had to take all the knowledge that we know about what we do and put it aside and really put ourselves in our clients' positions. And one of the things that we learned was that not everyone thinks like us, especially our clients, right? So we're talking up here and our clients are like over here somewhere. We're not having the same conversation. And so we really had to pull back where we were at on a creative level and just talk very basically about what we did and find out really what their pain points were and it was really hard to have those conversations with my clients. Like, what are you having trouble doing? Like we did a lot of research. We did a lot of online research to find out sort of conversation starters to get those conversations going with current clients, and then finding the clients, the people that we're targeting, finding out who those people are at that corporation, developing a relationship with them on LinkedIn, and then being able to ask those questions. And it's something that not everybody does, but it was amazing the responses that we got. People wanted to have these conversations. They were interested in having these conversations. Many people didn't respond, and that was okay because I realized that they weren't going to help us anyway. So move on to the next person.
That's excellent advice. So talk to me about the sales process. Like, I know that you guys, had your own sales process, but we also, I taught you my sales process and you took the best of both worlds. So tell me about how that changed things for you.
The idea of chunking it up into smaller bits and selling, we kept trying to sell the whole thing. And so really trying to sell smaller pieces and just getting in the door. And how can you get in the door? What can you do? What can you do that will fit in a space that the person you're talking to has the authority to approve without going to anybody else?
Yeah.
How can you, so if that authority, that spending authority is, say, $5,000, how can you get in the door with a $5,000 ask? And how can you build something around that $5,000 ask that will get you in the door and help you build that relationship and show them what you can do.
Yeah, that's excellent. And it obviously is working really well.
I hope so. It seems to be, yes. Numbers say so.
Yeah.
And certainly my calendar says so. So
I know. So I know I'm cognizant of the time. Thank you so much for giving this time. So lastly, I want to ask you, I know that it wasn't easy to get Bob on board, or so that was my impression. I wasn't sure, but so you say as much as you feel comfortable, but for those people who are on the bubble of whether they should hire a coach, whether they should hire someone like me, how, and you were in a sea of coaches because you're with the, like, WBE has like every coach there is, right? So one, how did you decide which one to work with? And then how did you convince to do that, to work with us?
So the decision was pretty easy because you've niched yourself into like, this is what I do, and I don't do everything, but this is what I do. And I was like, very clearly, sales is what we needed help with. That was the missing piece, right? We can do the work. That's not a problem. We had, I can build the business, but I really had a hard time getting over that sales threshold. I've never gone to business school. So we came through this from a creative place, and I used to be a designer myself. So trying to move us from the, let's have a lot of conversations for free and everybody walks away with all the information. How do we stop that?
Yeah.
And move forward and do it in a place where I feel comfortable and supported. And Bob, Bob and I have worked together since he was 17 years old. So we have a lot of bad habits, I think. And Chala, also, being married, there's a dynamic there. And he was not interested. He was like, okay, you go ahead, you go do this thing. And I'm gonna continue beating, banging on doors and doing what I can. And I said, just give me one day. You have to give me one day. I don't care what you do afterwards, but you have to give us one day. And Chala came in, and Bob, I watched his heart open. I like literally watched him go, oh, she's actually saying things I've never heard before and things that really make sense in a structure that that we can do. It was clear that there was a path forward, and he
Wow.
he and I both fought really hard against the pain points and the process, and you have to do all the things, and you have to ask for the next meeting. And Chala would say, you guys did great, but did you ask for the next meeting? We're like, oh no, we forgot about that one. We got so excited about having the actual meeting that we forgot to ask for the next one. And it was like, okay, you're learning, we'll move on, and like, let's do the next thing. And it was going through the process and then realizing, yes, that we do need this step-by-step process. We do need to do the research. We do, and it doesn't take long. And your return is going to be so much better spending a little bit of time up front than just flailing when you get there. It was a big deal.
It was a big deal. Sorry, go ahead.
Think like Chala became a mantra in our house.
Really?
Yes. Think like Chala. Okay.
I did not know that. That's hilarious. Really good. That's really good. Awesome. Wow. And first of all, I did not know that you gave him that give me one day sort of also. I did not know that. I would have been so nervous if I did, but like he's the best salesperson, student, coachee, like, any coach can hope for. So you did what you did. That's your magic right there. That's awesome. Do you have any parting advice for those of us on the call and those who, a lot more who are going to be listening to the replay around when and if to hire a marketing strategist?
If you're clear on what you want to do, and you can have clear KPIs on how you want to achieve, what you want to achieve, I think that hiring a coach is a really great way to move forward with that,
Good.
achieving those goals.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for being a guest, and our love to Bob. I hope he's well.
I hope so too. You should be home soon. Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year, everyone.
Talk to you soon.